it's Lizzie from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. Today I've got this cute little Ferrero Rocher holder. Of course it would be better if that was the right way around. I'm using the Botanical tag dies, which go with the Botanical Bliss stamp set from the Spring Summer catalogue. I'm not 100% certain if they are available to order at the moment. I think they're on back order. They're available to order, but I think they may be on back order. We have an enormous, what's the word I'm looking for? Delivery, that'll do. Brain, no, I have none. We have a huge delivery on its way to us, but it has been held up at customs. Nothing to do with Brexit, this is just general customs. This happens every now and again, and it always seems to be in April. So, anyway, I thought I would just go ahead and use this anyway. I'm using paper from the All My Love suite, which is this lovely floral. I think it was meant to be for Valentine's, but I think it's just a nice pink floral. And one of the colours is Soft Sea Foam and one is Crumb Cake. So I'm using Soft Sea Foam and Crumb Cake. I'm going to change it slightly because in making this I realised a tiny, not error, that's not the right word, an improvement I can make. So I have cut myself a piece of crumb cake that is about 2¼ inches wide. The length is not relevant at this point. It needs to be long enough to go all the way down, but that's all. And we're going to cut it kind of retrospectively. And I'm using this beautiful bird tag topper, and all I'm going to do is pop that on the card. And the reason it needs to be slightly wider than 2 inches, this is actually 2 inches, but we've got these leaves sticking out, so you do want it slightly wider, so 2¼ is fine, and then have these lined up so they're parallel to the edge. And then I'm just going to run that through my Big Shot. And I've got the magnetic platform because it then holds everything in place, and because it's a reasonable sized die I don't need to worry about it moving around. Sometimes if you've got a very small die on the magnetic platform it does jump about. Now while it's still in the die, I'm just going to check that it's cut, and it has. I'm taking my Take Your Pick tool, which is becoming detached, and I'm just going to poke out the little pieces. It's much easier to do this when the die is in situ. You can use the die brush, but for a small piece like this I think it's just as easy to use your Take Your Pick. So let's just get this last little piece out. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of my bin and just release everything from the die. Do be careful at this stage because it is very delicate. This is very fine cut, so just be a little bit careful. Right, okay, so now we've done that, we can pop that to one side. I have already done a bit of this and I didn't mean to, but I'm going to show you what I've done. So I've cut a piece of Soft Sea Foam card at the full width of a piece of A4, so it's about an 8¼ inches roughly, and I've taken the 2-inch circle punch and I just fed it through. I'm not going to punch, but actually if I feed it through this way you can see properly. So I fed it through and then just held it straight and punched to get that curve, because the curve at the top of the Botanical punch die is a 2-inch curve. So it's a very easy way of doing it. Right, okay, so let us do some scoring and then we'll come back to putting the whole thing together. So I'm going to use my trimmer because I'm going to be using my trimmer for other bits in a moment anyway. So the first score line is at 1/2 inch. So I'm going to use the 1/2 inch that is to the right of the cutting channel. Make sure you're using your light grey scoring blade rather than your dark grey cutting blade, otherwise we'll just end up with little pieces. So 1/2 inch 2.5 inches, 3 inches and 5 inches. Just had to double check that for a moment. So now I can measure from there to there, and that's 3¼ inches. So I can trim my this piece to 3¼ inches. Just trim those bits off. And I want 3¼ inches from the top of the curve to where I cut. So I am going to use a ruler. This is my old school ruler. It is very old because I was at school a long time ago. So 3¼ inches is there. It doesn't matter if it's a little short because that's going to be hidden. So I'm doing it that way rather than trying to guess where 3¼ inches, 3¼ inches is there, particularly as you've got a leaf sticking out. And then with my cutting blade, I'm just going to cut. Now I may need to trim that down a little bit more, but I won't worry at this stage. Then I'm just going to line that edge up and making sure I don't catch the leaves, pop my blade in and cut. And then the same again, I'm going to turn it over. So I'm lining up this edge to the trimmer cutting piece and then cut. And oops, get that bit out of the way. And that should be everything I need my trimmer for. And then just tidy up any scrabbly bits. When you're trimming very small pieces, you can end up with a little bit of scrabbly bit. Right, so this is going to fold round this way. I need to stick my designer series paper onto this piece because this is all going to fold round. So this is going to be the top. So I'm actually going to use snail, and I'm going to add snail and a cat hair. Cat hair gets everywhere. So I'm going to add snail. You could either do this straight onto the card or you can do it onto your designer series paper. It doesn't really matter which. And you need a piece of designer series paper that is 2 inches square. And just pop that on there. This is slightly more than 2 inches square by the look of it, in both directions. So I may need to trim that down a bit. So I'm just going to turn it over, and because it's hanging over the edge just a little bit, and just take my snips and trim that off there. And same again here, and that will be fine. Then I have punched using my 1 3/8 circle punch, just a circle, doesn't matter. I happen to have used Grapefruit Grove, she says, hesitating. Yes, Grapefruit Grove, because I had a scrap that was big enough. And then on the back, I'm just drawing round that because I can see where the centre is. And then come in and punch. And that way you end up with your circle as near as the centre as you can get it. Right, burnish your score lines. And then this is where this piece will slot in. Now we want to make sure that it is not too tall, because at this point we could, if we wanted, trim some, whoops, more off the bottom. But I think we're all right. So on the back, remembering that your leaves stick out, so don't put glue on the outside edge of the leaves. Just run a small amount of multi-purpose liquid adhesive around the outside and kind of on anything that might catch. And I'm just putting a very small amount of pressure on the tube, and you get this very fine line. You almost don't need to squeeze. Once you've got the pressure on, the glue kind of just flows out once it's touched onto the card. And then a scribble to make sure that it sticks. Then grab your soft seafoam piece and pop it onto the back of your, whoops. Now if there's any bits of glue sticking out, just wipe those away and then press that down. It dries clear, so don't worry too much if you've got little bits sticking out. And then some more, actually I'll do it this way up, some more liquid adhesive. You could use tear and tape, but I think liquid adhesive is a stronger adhesive once it's dry. Just pop that there, and then fold, so you want it flat. So I'm folding where the designer series paper is, and then just fold this piece over the top and press. And then when you bring it up, it will need to dry just a wee bit more, but it's there or thereabouts. And then, where's my sweetie? Now what I do just to make sure it sticks in place is just add a little bit of snail through the middle of the circle, and then when you pop your Ferrero Rocher in, it will sit nicely, particularly if you get it straight. Oops. Get it straight, pop your Ferrero Rocher in, and there you go. So two versions, one that's got, this is the improved version. By using the crumb cake on top, you don't end up with a funny colour bit on the back, it all follows through. And obviously you could stamp or write on the back. Because it folds flat, really easy for storage. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I will have close-ups over on my blog. The link for that is below. There'll be the dimensions and the score lines, and there's one thing I just need to quickly check because I found this on Pinterest, and it was originally from Stampin' Dolce. That's one word. I will link to the website if I can find it. Not all websites continue, but hopefully I will be able to find it. It's a slightly older project, so assuming the website still exists, I will link that in my blog post, which, as I say, is below. So thank you for the thought, for the idea, because I think this is just such a pretty idea. The original uses the tag topper, so you can have bows and things, but I thought it would be really pretty to use the botanical tags. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Remember that when you order from me, you need to use the host code if your order is between £20 and under £150. Don't use it if it's over £150 because you become the host. And when you order with me, you will be invited to join my VIP group, which I am relaunching. I have emailed everybody who is entitled to be in that group. So if you've got that email, have a look at it and click all the links to join onto that Facebook group, because I've got some new stuff coming that will be exclusive for my VIPs. So if you don't sign up, you won't get it. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave those below. If you want to send me an email with any questions, my contact details are below, but they're also on my website. If you don't already subscribe to my channel, please do consider doing so. The subscribe button's in the bottom right-hand corner. You can also subscribe to my newsletter and my blog over on my blog. So thank you very much indeed, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!